So with our lovely Miss M, ready cuteness? Again, there have been a couple little noises, ready? So sometimes when the ladies are having a little bit of a hard time, you can always rotate through a few different skill sets. So I know, for example, both the girls are sensitive to novel sounds. So we do want to sometimes make sure that the environments in which we're practicing can be easy or attainable zones for the girls to practice in. So again, I know she's a little bit excited / a little flustered. So this is a scratch board. I wanted to see if our little Miss M could give it a try. So in the beginning, if your puppy has never rocked something like this, I sometimes just like to get them comfortable even targeting the item. So for example, I might feed over the item. She again hears the funny neighbor noises. So right now I'm just getting her to feel comfortable doing a few little find its on the scratch board. I might even do a find it a little bit further away so she can make her way back and check it out. When she goes to kind of climb on me, I just want to lure her off and then feed again for either all four on the floor or for doing another little skill set. So I just have her leash on for now so she can just kind of drag it. And if need be, we could use it if we had to here and there to help her. So, but for this exercise, if your babe has never done a scratch board, I sometimes like to have a few snacks in my hands, cup it, and then see if the puppy will, out of excitement or frustration of trying to get to those snackies, might end up using their foot to paw at your hand. If your puppy already knows a high five or a paw behavior, you could try and get them to target your hand in the same moment while the board is also available. So what I'm trying to get my little lady to do is potentially go and use her foot to scratch at my hand / the board and then feed for that little response. There are some scratch boards too. If again, she's a little unsure, I'm just going to do a little find it, help her reboot. But there are some scratch boards, and I know I've mentioned this a little bit earlier with a previous video when I did some scratch board practice with Zeus. So there are some scratch boards that have a little compartment, and you can hide some snacks in the compartment, and then as your puppy's trying to get to the compartment that has the goodies, when they go to scratch or paw at it, you'd go and mark it yes, and you'd open up the little compartment and let them grab one of the snacks. So little Miss M right now is a little bit unsure. She's never done it. I was going to also try with Miss P today too, but I know with the sound difficulties today, the girls are both a little bit off. I feel there's like a nail gun or something being used somewhere in the building, which is okay. It just means the ladies are a little bit unsure about that dynamic. So we are going to, again, work a few other little tidbits too, like we were mentioning, like the door exercise. So, but I wanted to give her a little breather. She did go out for a little potty break, which I think did help. But I want to see if we can go ahead and rotate through a few other little skills today too. So, but if for the scratch board, she's a little bit unsure, no worries. I'm not even saying you have to do scratch board practice, but I would recommend to try a little bit with the cooperative care resources that are sometimes available to you guys via Facebook. So right here, we're just going to have our target the little scratch board by doing some pause up or step up on it. Remember too that if your babe doesn't quite grasp something the very first time you try it, that's very okay. Yes. Sorry about the bubbles. But if your babe is a little bit unsure, nice, good job, cuteness. Just take your time and see if you can start to build up to those other skills that you were hoping for. So let's say right here, we're working on her going on the platform and now it's going to be a little bit raised off the ground. I might start here as opposed to doing it the other way right here. Yes. So as she sometimes targets the board as it's partially raised up, I'm going to mark those moments and feed. So we started with it flat right there. Yes, I'm going to feed for this. Gorgeous. Obviously, if she's a much bigger dog, you could plop this platform underneath something else. Like, for example, maybe you have a bowl or something that's not too slippery. This does have like an easel concept to it, but I feel like sometimes the angle is too difficult. So sometimes I like to then start off, you could even put it like under, your feet could go under the board. And right now what I'm doing is I'm just feeding her for placing her front toes onto the platform. So then as she gets maybe more fluid, ready, we'll do another little find it. Ready, cuteness? Go ahead. She's like, oh, the nail gun again. I know there's some weird noises today. Ready? So she's like, that is an awful sound. So, and it's not too loud, but I know you guys had mentioned she's really struggling with outdoor noises. There are some great videos on noise sensitivity or even like almost noise phobia. So notice how she keeps trying to climb into my space. She's not trying to be annoying or naughty or anything like that. She's just feeling a little bit flustered. So I'm not going to go ahead and, get agitated or tell her no, off, and sort of scold her, because we don't want to have a puppy that's worried about being unable to make a mistake because of the fact that we sometimes get flustered with them. So right here, I'm just doing a couple little find its to sort of get her up and moving while the noise is happening out and about. And she's like, guys, maybe outdoors doesn't have a nail gun. Ready? We'll do their little find it. Nice. But remember, we don't want to do every experience as if it were flooding. So flooding, again, is where you might expose your puppy to something, yes, but it's to the level at which your puppy cannot tolerate it and it's overwhelming. So we don't want to do flooding, which is where, again, just as if like we didn't know how to swim and I just threw someone into the deep end, that would be like almost behaviorally what flooding would seem like. So again, I'm just trying to see if I can get this lovely lady to put her little toesies back on this platform. Yes, right there, nice. Ready, find it. Good job. So even if in the beginning she hasn't actually gone into scratching the board, we're still just trying getting those lovely toes. Yes, right there, yes, good job, to target that spot. Ready, we'll do another little find it, get her up and wiggling. So now let's say she's been doing a pretty good job plopping those front feet on. I'm gonna see if I can, again, get her to try once more to target right there, yes. So even though right there, was a teeny little scratch on the board, which was very exciting. Ready, we'll do another little find it. So remember that a lot of times when you're starting something novel like this, it might start off with little half steps before you even get to a full step. So right there, yes. And we're gonna go ahead and feed for that. So the generalization of a skill does take a lot of reps and practice, but also sometimes shaping up to the big skill does take some good baby steps to get there. So right here, we're hoping right there, yes, nice little moment where she put that foot up. So we're just kind of hoping for another little paw up on the board. She's like, lady, these are delicious snacks. So I know it's a little awkward. We'll get her up and moving so you can kind of see her a little better from a side angle. So I'm going to try again to get those little toes to go up there with her little toenails. Oh my goodness, chewing is hard. Right there, yes. So even if in the beginning it's sort of targeting the board and stepping up on top of it, we're still building confidence and trying something new, which for a lot of puppies, novelty equals a bit spooky. So if she's a little bit unsure about something, I'm only using the lure if she's feeling comfortable enough to give it a try. If she's like, ew, no thanks, or like walked away, I'm not going to force the situation because today the environment is a bit more challenging. So I'm going to go ahead. That was a delicious snack right there, huh? So, but I'm going to try a little bit right here where I might offer the food, see if I can get these lovely feet to give a little scratch. If, again, she has to take this in smaller increments, no big deal. So with one of my boys, it took him a couple weeks to figure this out. One of my other dogs, within like 2 or 3 sessions, was doing a really great job scratching on the board. So everybody's babes are going to be a little bit different at their rate of figuring it out. If, again, she's a little bit uncertain as it was up higher, I might just lower it again to the floor and see if we can get those toes to go ahead and go on the platform right there. So sometimes you might have to rotate through making it a little easier, a little harder, but it should be attainable. So if when you're first starting with a scratch board is just going and visiting the board or doing find its near the item and just having it become very benign, perfect. Then as the puppy's doing quite well, you could do some pause up or step up behaviors on the target while it's flat. Then try to raise it up into an angle that is still comfortable for the puppy to platform with their front feet on there. And then you start to rotate through, for example, having it raised and then see if you can get some of the paws to go onto the platform at that moment too. Oh my goodness, chewing. Nobody remembers how to chew today. These little tidbits, huh? So, but for the scratch board, you can find a whole slew of different brands out there. This one, for example, I just got off of Amazon, but if you're not an Amazon shopper, that is fine. There's a whole bunch of different varieties. You could also just take an old cutting board and if you want, plop on, like I added this new piece of purple sandpaper with a double-sided sticky tape. And that seemed to work really well to replace my original sandpaper that had lost its grit. So now this way, as we start to practice, she can then have new replacement sandpaper. Yes, right here, gorgeous. And then what I'd want her to try and do is then sort of just have her paws go down. So right there, we had a little scratch. But it's not going to be perfection because she's never done this before. So it could be, again, this concept of building up to the skill. As she's getting more comfortable, she might throw in some better scratch moments. So no big deal. She might also be understand the scratch board better if she had one that had a little compartment. So remember, there's all different varieties that could help one puppy be more successful versus another pup with different types of products. But what your main goal would be is to try to get your puppy to target the platform first flat, then slightly raised, and then start to increase that angle. So when your puppy does put the foot on there, it's more of they step on it, and as they lower the foot, it then gets the toenails. There are some that are even curved, which can be really nice because the curved ones are able to get all 4 toenails. A lot of times with the flat ones, they tend to get the 2 middle toes, but not the outside toes as well. It can also be a great option. There's some that are curved, and that's how you can get all of them. Ready? Good job with our little kissy noise. I know, chewing. We might have to go get a little drink for the wild woman. But getting your lovely lady to work a little bit with the beginning stages of a scratch board could be a nice way where if nail time or certain grooming skills are difficult for her or other classmates, Cooperative Care is definitely a really great venue to participate in with your babe because it'll really help you with vet visits, grooming, if there's ever an injury. And Cooperative Care, as opposed to forcing the puppy to do something, you are then helping them start to find that there's value in trying the skills, because when they're doing the skills, they also are given an out. So if the puppy is a little bit overwhelmed or is a bit flustered by a certain skill, you can go ahead and have a way for them to be like, you know what, I'm all set, I need to take a break. And then in doing so, they don't feel the need to start raising their voice, which could turn into those behaviors like growling or snapping or getting really agitated or overwhelmed. So nice thing about that Cooperative Care is it starts to create comfort in your dog because there's choice involved, and then that can be really helpful. So even right now, she's just platforming, her little front feet are on the platform. I'd still consider that pretty successful, and just we can always work on this later down the road too some more. So again, right here, I'm gonna get Maple. Oh, she's getting her crumb she forgot. Good girl, nice job. But we'll give our little Miss M a breather from the scratch board. If again you have questions or you're not sure about which one to try or check out, I will check in with you guys if needed. Otherwise, the scratch board could be another great option. There she goes, platforming. But you might find this to be really great for the in-between nails scenarios.